You are listening to the Fine Food and Healthy Living Asia podcast,
where we talk about fine food and healthy living throughout Asia.
So let's get started. Hey everybody, Ian and Todd here.
Welcome to the Fine Food and Healthy Living Asia podcast.
If this is your first time listening, then thanks for coming. The Fine Food and Healthy Living Asia podcast is produced every week for your enjoyment, and show notes are found on our Facebook page.
Come back often and feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram or on my blog, toddinasia.com. That's Todd with two D's in Asia.com.
All links are in the show notes. Now, let's get started. Today we have none other than Russel Wong, one of the most famous Singaporean photographers. He was the first Singaporean photographer to break into the notoriously difficult Hollywood movie industry. His photographs have been on 17 magazine covers for Time magazine and has done assignments for Fortune, Elle, GQ, New York Times and Los Angeles Times. Some of his other credits include doing photography on The House of Flying Daggers, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and many other famous movies. And some of the celebrities he's photographed have been Anthony Bourdain, Richard Gere, Jackie Chan, Isabella Rossellini, Robert Downey Jr., and Mickey Rourke. And apart from that, he's also a massive jazz lover. So, Russell, welcome to the show, and this is my co-host, Todd Lennox, as well.
Hi, Ian. Lovely to be here, and Russell, welcome.
Good morning, guys. Don't worry, I just had my coffee, so I'm perky now. So.
Okay, good.
Amped up and ready to go. Now, to start off with, we have to ask, how did you get into photography? How did you become this world-famous photographer?
Well, it started when my father bought me a camera, pretty much a $150 camera from a small shop in Singapore. And I was 16 then, and he kind of knew that he was going to send me abroad, go university abroad. Primarily, when he bought me the camera was actually to take pictures to send back to mom and dad.
Really?
So it wasn't like I asked for it. It wasn't really like a burning passion. I had no idea what was going on. I hated the guys from the photo club, the high school, the geeks. So the photo geeks, we called them, right? So, I hated the photo geeks,
Yeah.
And not knowing I was going to be one myself,
yes.
but so that's okay. So pretty much dad got me the camera.
Yeah, so you kind of fell into it almost.
Yeah, fell into it. Like I say, I always tell people I didn't pick photography picked me. And so that happened, and I got the camera and actually went over with the camera, enrolled at the University of Oregon in Eugene, in the Northwest. And, it's a Nike school, and it's great, read about it, all the history, and Bill Bowerman, Coach Bowerman. Mm-hmm. And, me being a sports fan and actually a track and field fan. I'm a huge track and field fan and read up on all the Olympic races and the athletes, and it was just fantastic for me to at least use a camera to shoot.
There's a specific photo that I saw in your photography book, Russel Wong Photographs from 1980 to 2005. It's an incredible photo of, was it Carl Lewis?
Yeah, it's Carl. So that was, so when I started out, of course, I took pictures of myself to send back to the parents.
Sure.
But little did they know I was blowing the bank account and just spending it on film, on the rolls and rolls of like badly exposed film. But the thing that got me going and to motivate me was to get good pictures of them, obviously, because they're all world-class athletes. They were training Eugene. They were, training for the Olympics. Mr. Bauman was around coaching people. It was a fantastic time.
How did you transition from the sports photography into more the Hollywood scene?
Yeah, so that the sports photography in school was pretty much 4 years. It was just, I think like every photographer, you kind of do what we call the documentary photojournalism type photography, where you don't deal with studios or lights. So that's like the first dip in the pool when you get into photography. Just doing photojournalism type like sports, and that happened for 4 years. But I was also kind of discovering different fields of photography, because until that time I just knew what sports photography was, and I just really stumbled across a fashion magazine my friend gave me, and was wondering what kind of photography is this. So I actually saw this Gianni Versace ad, a double page spread, and I was going, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
8 beautiful women. Right?
Well,
So
you
at
can't
that time, it
complain
was a
with that.
no-brainer because it was
Yeah.
either shooting sweaty men or sexy women. So,
Yeah.
so it was like,
Yeah.
okay, we decided. And it was very funny that I discovered it then, senior year, last year, and was asked to actually shoot the sorority calendar by this friend of mine. Just as I thought it couldn't get better,
Yeah.
shooting these amazing athletes like Carl Lewis, comes a gig with the sorority girls of the University of Oregon. You know, I think as a sports photographer, you can't really create that much. It's there for you to capture, you know, when he finishes or when he jumps. You can't really go out and really create from scratch. And I kind of enjoyed the fashion and the portraiture actually more than the action stuff.
Yeah.
So like if I were to shoot like a Carl Lewis, I mean, I enjoyed shooting Carl Lewis as a portrait when he was sitting on the infield, getting a portrait of him, as opposed to Carl jumping and breaking 28 feet. So, I mean, already I was kind of like moving towards that direction, not knowing it, you know. Then, of course, fashion came up, and when I graduated, I enrolled in the Art Center College of Design in Los Angeles, in Pasadena. And it's phenomenal photography school that was, the program was partly set up by Ansel Adams. So I found the school and boom, it was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure it out and like get all the technical side down, right?
Okay.
And then I can just go and fly and do what I want. So that was fantastic training because of just a solid foundation that, you know, Mr. Adams, and he set up the program, part of it, you know, the zone system and all that, you know, that I had no idea about. So that was good. That kind of like put my way. And then, of course, being in Pasadena, which is only like 30 minutes from LA and
Yeah,
Hollywood.
right there.
Right? You're right smack there where all the action is. And, of course, boom, you know, it wasn't even portraiture, straight shot right into fashion. And, of course, the modeling agencies and the actresses. And it all happened because physically I was there. And I was already interested in doing that, you know. So that took off in that direction.
So from there, you told me a story recently about you started just photographing musicians. What was one of the first musicians that you managed to photograph?
I mean, it's I've always enjoyed jazz. I mean, in college, you know, and I remember one of my first albums was a Bob James, the Touchdown album, you know.
Okay.
The great pianist and keyboardist, and Bob actually wrote the theme song for the TV show Taxi.
Oh, really?
Yeah, famous song, yeah.
Yep. So, and so I was kind of into that, you know, what they call now West Coast jazz, you know. I mean, as opposed to bebop, you know. Yeah, I was just looking at the clubs in Los Angeles while I was at school, and of course there are so many jazz clubs in LA, and pretty much figured out that I'm gonna go hang out at the clubs, you know, so I can shoot these guys. And I started with a baked potato right in the valley, and
Baked potato.
it's called a baked potato because that's all they serve. It's the most famous jazz bar in LA, and everyone was there. I mean, everyone. The first gig was
John Coltrane, or
no, I mean these are all like a lot of more the West Coast people, you know. And I saw phenomenal people there like Al Jarreau, George Benson. I mean, these people I just heard about, you know. They're all walking in, and that's how I met these guys one by one. And I would go there and hang out from after school from like 9 till 12 midnight. And then I would get to know them. I would shoot them at the gig. I would give them prints. And then I had a relationship with them. You know, I got invited to Playboy Jazz Festival and backstage passes. So for the music and jazz side, I mean, I met a lot of them through these jazz bars. And, you know, it's all one clique of guys. And
Yeah, what a time.
Exactly. So being a jazz fan, I mean, I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
So going into sort of more of the Hollywood side of things from the music, and particularly for some of our listeners, obviously this is a food podcast, so a lot of our listeners would be quite interested in Anthony Bourdain. What was it? Well, what is it like to shoot with him? Because you still shoot with him quite often, don't you?
Yeah. This Anthony, I pretty much met on a photo shoot, and I was actually hired to do his publicity for no reservations. I mean, he hates his pictures. You know, he just hates photo shoots,
Well,
and that was pretty much
TV
the first.
enough.
Yeah, I know. That was the first thing he said to me, and I was going, okay, the pressure's on, right? So he said, Russell, I hate photo shoots.
I hate them.
Right in the
Because
morning.
that's probably one of the trickiest things as a photographer is to make the subject
It is.
comfortable. Because otherwise,
It
if
is.
they're
And
uncomfortable
some people
and
hate
stiff,
photo shoots, and some people love photo shoots.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, and you'd be surprised, even like actors, you know,
Really?
people think they are, photo shoot, you know, because they're so used to doing a scene,
Yeah.
acting a whole scene as opposed to freezing for you,
Yeah.
in 1 split second. It's kind of different for them. You know, it's kind of different for them. So anyway, long story short is they hired me to do all of Anthony's publicity for his new show then called No Reservations. So we met up and we did a photo shoot, and then he's like, hey, I really enjoyed it, and I saw your work, and so I figured I should enjoy it because I like your work.
Wow.
And by the way, where do you eat? And so we kind of hooked up, and I showed him where I ate and brought him around to eat. We even did a couple of photo shoots at the coffee shops that I go hang out at, which he preferred, and so the relationship
cool.
happened. And every time he would come, when he passed through Singapore, he was about to do a show, he would call me up, see what I can suggest or even be in the show, because I've been in a couple of his shows, and he gets Asia. That's what I enjoy, because a lot of people don't get Asia.
Yeah.
When they eat here, they just don't get it.
Yeah.
And he's adventurous and he gets it.
Yeah, he dives in.
And
Yeah.
you can tell that he really appreciates, and especially our street food.
Yeah. Well, I read his book, his first book, Kitchen Confidential, and he had that scene in Japan where he just went into a back alley and just tried everything, just ate it all up. It was just so great.
Yeah, because as living this part of the world, we all come from a street culture.
Yeah.
Right, and like we have this saying, like if there's a tablecloth, I'm not going in there. So it's our best foods are all in the streets.
Yeah.
At least that's where they started, and of course, they were brought into the hawker centers and later on because of hygiene and all that. But primarily, the best food in Asia, it's our culture. It's all from the street. And,
It's where you're going to try some of the most interesting ingredients as well.
Exactly, and fresh and homemade. It's prepared for you on the spot.
I have to quickly ask, what is your favourite food to eat?
Oh boy, that's a loaded question. I mean, in terms of local fare, the cuisine, I actually, I love my chicken rice, just like a lot of people. It's comfort food for me. My Hainanese chicken rice, I like that. I actually like a lot of also Malay food, like nasi lemak and some. So I'm also, I have this palate that I the Chinese food is not so much high on my list actually, and I kind of prefer the Indian food, the Malay food, because I come from a household that my mom is Peranakan, so she's my father's pure Cantonese, so we get Cantonese food from his side, but then my mom is Peranakan, and
Peranakan.
The culture where it's like they call it the Straits-born Chinese, where the fusion of Chinese and Malay, that culture where when you say Singapore food and you like certain dishes, most of them are Peranakan, like the laksa. That's Peranakan.
Yeah,
so I came from that culture, and that culture uses a lot of spices, stronger flavors, a lot of coconut. So I'm kind of like, that's for me, that's home cooking for me. So I don't come from a typical Chinese family eating Chinese food every day.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really mixed up in my house because of mom and my grandma, and the parentage from that side, mom's side. Whereas father's side is all Cantonese. So there's only a couple of Cantonese dishes that I like the wonton noodles and the roast meat, and that's about it. But I can name a lot, like laksa. I love my laksa, my Nonya laksa, because there are two types. One's Assam laksa, which is out of Penang in Malaysia. And on the Nonya ones, I have the coconut base.
Right.
So that's a Nonya laksa that we all grew up with in Singapore. That it's comfort food for me, and I crave it. Yeah.
Somebody, I think, mentioned in an article that you have captured the Asian identity with your photography and some of your exploration of this continent.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what you see as the Asian identity?
So that was, I think it was was it LA Times or?
Yeah, from the LA Times article.
Yeah, this it's kind of it's one of those things where you're kind of living it and you're in it, and you just do it, and it just comes right out by not without thinking, because I am it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I'm a new generation Asian.
Yeah.
I guess your so-called non-traditional guy, because 16 I left and I went to America, came back. I'm Cantonese, mom's Peranakan, so I'm like this mishmash.
Yeah, right.
And you were born in Australia.
Yeah,
as
I was
well.
born in Australia. Not many people know about it. So I was born in Australia, but I came back when I was like a year and a half old, because dad went to school there, and I see it's interesting because I don't really like, I think when you live here too long and you live here forever, you don't really appreciate, and you don't really, you see it but you don't see it,
Yeah.
right? Because you live in it.
Yeah.
So like for me, I think it really helped when I went away.
Yeah.
When I went to Oregon, went to Los Angeles, and I was away for like 8 years.
So when you
and then
come
when I
back-
came back, I had fresh eyes. Like I started appreciating more, I guess, that it was always in front of my face, but I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
To me, that was just, oh yeah, hawker center, okay, great,
Right.
like that's like normal for us,
Yeah.
right?
It's hard to find inspiration when you're so used to something, particularly when you're photographing. In Australia, I do photography as a hobby, but I always found shooting in Australia I found difficult because I was so, like you were saying, so accustomed to it. But when I've been travelling overseas, I just dive right into it because you see so many interesting subjects.
Because you get immune to the visual, I call
Yeah.
it. You get really immune. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
you,
it's the
come
same.
to San Francisco, you see the Golden Gate Bridge every day, right?
Exactly. I was just gonna say that.
And you just go, oh man, I'm gonna get jammed
Yeah.
up again. That's all you care about.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Coming from
Whereas-
America, you just have your daily. I would drive across the Golden Gate Bridge every day.
Yep.
And
It's no big deal.
it's like, oh, it's traffic, or the
Oh,
toll
it's
is backed up or
traffic.
whatever.
Oh, man. Let
yeah.
me see who got out of Alcatraz on the left.
But when you leave, right, but when you leave and come back, it's like, oh my God, this is beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
same
always
for-
like that.
Yeah, and same
it's-
for you coming back
exactly.
here. Yeah,
So we all are so immune to what we see every day that we
Yeah.
don't find it special.
yeah,
And that's why, like even in movie making, when you get a foreigner coming in to shoot in your hometown, you're gonna get a different visual because he sees it different, and that's how I learn sometimes. Like you get, good example is if someone were to shoot Beijing, do a film. If a Chinese person was going to do it, you're going to get that Chinese visual that might not be as special as like when Bernardo Bertolucci did Last Emperor,
Right.
And
Yes.
got Vittorio Storaro to go shoot it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Both Italian guys shooting in the Forbidden City for the first time, and he had amazing visuals.
Yeah.
So I find that's the way too, and I guess it's kind of similar with food too. Huh? I mean,
yeah,
you eat
yeah.
your own food all the time,
Yeah.
and then you get kind of like okay,
Yeah.
okay,
It's very true.
Yeah, well, in your travels and coming back and forth from Singapore, you've probably seen Singapore evolve quite a bit
Of
in
course,
terms
yeah.
of the cuisine
Of
and
course.
what's available there. Can you talk a little bit about, the earlier years as opposed to what's happening right now in Singapore with food?
Yeah, I think the trend, it's like people are trying to now I do put a spin and trying to make the hawker food more sexy. Mm-hmm. Like that's the in thing, we don't
Yeah.
want to go dine in the 3-star Michelin restaurants.
Yeah.
We want to go down and dirty into an alley because it's cooler to do that, right? I don't know whether they prefer the food or whether it's just
It's
like
just cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's just cool to go to an alley. You can talk about it in your nice charity dinners or whatever. You're paying a grand pop, But it's always been there. It's always been there. And but the thing I see and I kind of fear for is the original guys. They're not passing it down to the children because the children don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. They want to go work in a .com company and air condition, or they want to work in a nice restaurant, in a casino, or air conditioning.
Yeah,
They don't
come
have
on,
to, like-
Dad, I don't want to work here.
Exactly. Why
Yeah.
should I do char kway teow in the heat for 8 hours standing up?
Right.
When I can be just waiting tables or just,
Yeah.
air conditioned and the comfort.
Yeah.
And so that's the part that's always, and you see a lot of them closing down because
Yeah,
because,
I do, yeah.
And I think a lot of, I think other countries too maybe, but more so here, it's tough. It's tough doing that, and it's just whether and how well it has been passed down to the next
Yeah.
guy doing it. It's never going to be the same usually, but and I think just in terms of economics of it, the rents are high. So
Yeah.
you see them cutting corners and
Right.
using packet
Yeah.
condiments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, just the logistics too of
Exactly.
Singapore, getting all the food imported here because there's little room to grow your own
Everything's
food.
imported.
Yeah. It's just,
Everything's imported.
Yeah.
Nothing grows.
Yeah.
Not that I know of.
so you're eating fish from Japan and
Exactly. Chicken from Malaysia.
chicken from Malaysia,
Yeah.
and
Vegetables from China.
produce from France.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Meat
so
from
it's-
Australia.
Yeah, a lot of our meats are from Australia. Lamb, mainly the meats are Aussie meats. So but I'm just saying that comparing that from the last time when I had it was more home cooked and it was done from scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's one word everything pretty much was done from scratch the
Yeah.
last time because they had the time to do it and they could afford to do it.
Yeah.
Because right now, hey, if you do from scratch, you might not be able to serve so many people, and your food cost is pretty much going to go up.
Yeah.
Maybe from 30 to 40%, right?
Yeah.
But then, now that's the part, and I can taste it. I mean, I look at the condiments and already, I don't want to put that in,
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes a lot of the meals, the condiments make it.
Yeah,
Right? In
that's
laksa,
right.
you got your dam kosong,
Yeah.
the herbs, and the hemi, or you got your shallots or the fried shallots or the, I mean, that sometimes the condiments make it. And if you see it coming out from a packet, you go, oh man, it's like,
Yeah.
But I do understand, and you can't fight it.
Yeah.
Because it's all business, right?
Yeah.
So that's to me, I see the trend that way,
Yeah.
And of course, instead of charging you $3-4 for a bowl of prawn noodle, now they can charge 12 because they're gonna put some big prawns in it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they're gonna put some ribs in it. So they're gonna upsell you like
Yeah.
as if they're doing McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes that doesn't belong in there.
Right.
So when you ask me what I miss, I actually miss the original form of how it was served, and the original taste is how it was served. Because we've got this memory bank at the back of our heads of what we ate in our childhoods, and that sticks there for the rest of our lives. And you have that one taste.
Yeah.
You know that. Oh man, this was like in 1970 something when Dad brought me there. I'm reminiscing that taste,
Wow.
and you can't get that taste anymore. I find very few places because they don't cook it like that.
It's funny how food can trigger memories.
Exactly.
And the smell.
Yeah,
And certain,
just the smell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Charcoal burn, stuff you don't get now with the laksa, and it's just got this smell,
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite Asian countries to visit, and in terms of food and photography?
Oh boy, if you say food and photography, it's Japan.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. I've been going there, for the past, like since 96, 95.
You traveled to Japan quite a bit.
lot, yeah.
Yeah.
And especially more so now back to Kyoto because I'm doing a book there.
Ah.
I'm working on a book.
You're
Kyoto.
doing a new book?
Yeah, I'm doing a new book on geishas and Kyoto, and of course, I eat my way through, and I just try to discover all the street food there too, and there's special places in Kyoto, and friends of mine bring me out, and got to know a lot of the chefs, the people in the food business, and people that run the small stores. So I really enjoy that, and of course the visual, even their food is amazing, how it's presented.
Sure. Yeah.
So in terms of food and photography in one place, Kyoto by far.
Wow.
If it's all just food, is Bangkok. I love Thai food.
Oh,
Yeah. Don't
yeah.
we all?
Yeah,
Yeah,
love
all
Thai
of us
food. Yeah,
So
Bangkok.
I can eat that all the time. I can eat Japanese all the time. It's not a problem for me. Those I would say are the two places, I guess, in this region.
So, and for our listeners, when do you expect to have your new book out?
Oh boy, don't hold your breath. 'Cause I've been working on this for 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm working on this geisha book for 8 years.
Wow.
And
So are you doing modern geisha, or is
yeah,
it?
I'm doing just more the life of a geisha.
There's very few geishas around now, isn't
Yeah,
there?
it's not many. I mean, they're dwindling. I think it's less than 300 now, and Kyoto primarily has most of them because the geisha districts are still there, all 5 of them. And but then again, I kind of got in partly because of food, because all geisha houses they don't have any kitchens, so all this stuff is takeout. So I met, I met all these people that run the sushi bars and the restaurants, and they supplied the food, and that's how I was introduced actually.
Right.
So it was was through food that I met the main owners and the ladies that run the geisha houses, and got a relationship with them, and
Yeah.
took me 4 or 5 years to get in because it was practically impossible to shoot inside. It
Yeah.
was such a discreet,
Right.
Such a secret underground
Yeah,
life.
and now you're getting access to
Yeah.
the behind the scenes.
And, yeah, exactly.
That's
And access to the best food, right? Because they get really fantastic food. They order from different the different restaurants around the district, and so that's been an eye opener for me too. And meeting the amazing chefs,
Yeah.
For such a small town, I think they have like 5 or 6 3-star chefs in that small town.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, the
Wow.
Michelin Guide just released their guide for Japan, I
Exactly.
believe. Yeah, and there's quite a few Michelin star
Yeah,
restaurants.
and you don't even have to go to those restaurants. I don't eat in all those restaurants all the time, just your neighborhood corner shop, that seats 6 people. And I enjoy that. I really, really enjoy that, just discovering it. And actually, I think people these days, they kind of put an emphasis on how expensive the food is, and therefore it's got to be good. And it's not correlated. Let me tell you that. I paid $300-400 and the meal wasn't good at all.
Yeah.
You know, I paid $6 eating laksa. I think that beats anything. You know.
Yeah.
So I mean, we come to that stage where everything's branding. We all creatures of habit, right? We end up eating always in the same places, and it is actually very difficult. I find these days to find a new restaurant or a new joint to go discover some new food, because everything's been done over and over again. And I don't look for that modern twist. I don't like bubble food, I call it, right? So it's to me, it's like when I seek out new food to try or restaurants to try, I always like to find it in its more original form.
Yeah.
Okay, if they tweak it a bit, fine, but the core and the essence of it is there. It's great, and that's how I like it.
You'd be happy with a good old-fashioned home-cooked meal.
Exactly. I mean, you're gonna serve me some steak. It's gotta. I gotta look at it. It's gotta look like a steak with a bone in it. It's not like all like I don't know.
Yeah. What is
just
this?
Sliced up and coffee grounds on the side, and some bubbles in the middle, and coffee grounds. I mean, stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
so to me, it's like, hey,
keep it simple.
Exactly. Yeah. Show me the money. Show me the meat. So it's So I'm more towards that. So the places I seek out and I enjoy more are these places. Where they're a bit more traditional, and hopefully it's still done by the same people, and not modernize it and just crank it out. And then a good thing is worth waiting for, right?
Well, Russell, just to finish up, we're going to do some quick fire questions. Okay. So we just want one word answers if possible.
Okay.
I'll start off and then Todd can go on to the next one. So just starting from now, favorite restaurant?
Hawker.
What's your favorite style of photography?
I think portraits.
Portrait.
Yeah. I've always been a people person. That's how I started, and I still really enjoy doing it.
And what was your best shoot that you did? Your favorite shoot?
The Jackie Chan cover's got to be one of them.
I forgot to talk about him. I love Jackie Chan.
So I did Jackie for time cover and really enjoyed that shoot. It still sticks in my mind as if I just shot it.
Is that the one on the front of your book?
Different shoot, but of nearly the same time. Yeah.
Right.
If there's someone that you've not yet photographed that you would love to photograph, who would that be?
Brother's dead. It's Prince.
Oh, Prince! I love Prince.
Yeah.
Man, when did he die?
Man, I know.
I mean, I'm a big music and funk and R&B fan, so I've always wanted to shoot Prince.
Wow. Yeah.
So next question: who was the most interesting person you ever photographed?
I think one of the most interesting people was the ex-first lady of the Philippines, Imelda Marcos.
Wow.
The wife of the then President Ferdinand Marcos.
Right.
So I spent a whole afternoon with her and photographed her. And
did you photograph all the shoes as well?
she didn't show me the shoes, but she spoke about it. I was checking out the shoes she was wearing in the shoot.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So living, who would you like to invite to dinner, and why?
Al Pacino. I don't know. You know, the old Hollywood, because he represents old Hollywood. I think he's a phenomenal actor. And that whole era, Pacino, De Niro, Hoffman.
Yeah.
I've always had this, admiration for those guys.
Yeah.
And of course, for a lady, Barbara Streisand.
Oh, yeah.
She sings, she acts. She comes with a lot of history. Back then, when they could sing, dance, and act, right? So now they can't even sing, they can't even dance, they can't even act. And they don't play nothing. The only thing they play is an iPod.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So, I mean, Pacino has always been like a hero of mine. So,
cool.
Maybe one day.
Doesn't get any cooler than Al Pacino.
Yeah, we'll have to email him the podcast.
All right,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, anyway, do you have any more questions, Todd? Or
No, I just really enjoy meeting you and love your photographs.
Thanks.
So beautiful. And thanks for coming today.
Yeah, and I feed them well. When we shoot. And that's one of the things I ask them, actually. What do you like to eat? And I try to have it on the shoot.
Oh, really?
Good tip for success for up-and-coming
seriously,
photographers.
It makes a huge difference.
So it just makes them relax a bit more? Or
the very fact that you found out their favorite food.
Yeah.
And, because, people ask me what's the secret ingredient. No pun intended, of a good shoot. Actually, is like when you get the trust. Yeah. When you get the trust is when you take care of the guy and you do some research on the guy and like if you want some crab cakes, I'll get you some crab cakes, and then you go, wow, you got crab cakes, and he's all happy, and then your whole shoot is good.
Yeah.
No, seriously, it's as simple as that.
We should
That's
remember
one of
that.
that's one of the keys actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Feed the stomach, and then you get a good shot.
Yeah.
for sure.
Excellent. Good tip.
Well, once again, thanks for coming along onto the show.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Hopefully we can get maybe another interview later on down the track in the next 12 months or so when you do some
Yeah,
other
for sure.
shoots or something.
Yeah.
Talk about some
Release
new
your
stuff.
book. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
Alright.
fantastic. So
Cool.
thanks again, and we'll our listeners will hear from us next week.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you, Russell.
See you, Russell.
If you're enjoying the Fine Food and Healthy Living Asia podcast, please consider supporting us by going to our homepage at www.finefoodandhealthylivingasia.com and making a donation.
We are beginning a new way to support the show by subscribing as a loyal member. Another option on our homepage at finefoodandhealthylivingasia.com. There are options to choose for the level of support you wish to give.
We will always make our podcasts available for free and appreciate your patronage to be able to do so.
If you subscribe with iTunes, please remember to give us a 5-star rating. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and then give us a 5-star rating. For other subscribers on Google Play, Spotify, or any other aggregators, please rate us there. Once again, thank you for listening to the show.